Welcome back, everyone. Now, this is a topic I've been meaning to cover, but I've kind of been skipping over it, talking about some of the more prominent political issues that have been coming out. But I feel like this needs to be addressed, okay? Because this is getting out of hand. Today's topic, as you can tell by the title, is going to be a little triggering. So let's delve into the world of feminism. Now, what modern feminists refuse to admit is that feminism is only one side of a two-sided coin of equality. A movement that advocates for the rights of one gender over another is sexist and unequal by nature. If feminists were striving for equality, then they wouldn't be feminists. That's just basic deductive reasoning. Being against feminism means that you're truly for equality. So I'm going to read a handful of comments sent in by regular people about why feminism is not about equality. The first comment was sent in by Chris W. and reads as follows. Don't really agree with this. Feminism has never been about advocating the rights of one gender over another. Just because there is a fem in the term feminist doesn't make it so. You can call it anything you want. It still means equality. Now let me just real quickly explain why I believe that feminism is not about equality. Let me give my stance on this issue. I do not in any way promote violence, and I think if you do hit a woman, you should go to jail. However, in that area, women do have privilege over men. Think about it. If a woman came up to me and beat the living crap out of me, I couldn't lay a hand on her or everybody would blame me, and I'd possibly be thrown in prison. So by law, they already have one privilege over men. So these feminists also want to outlaw manspreading. And if you don't know what manspreading is, let's say I'm on the bus and my ball sack is sticking to my legs, okay? So I kind of spread my legs a little bit farther out than usual. Women don't like that for some reason. They think that's stupid, you know? And one of their counterexamples is, well, I don't have to spread my arms out to make room for my tits because they're not between your legs. Trust me, if you had them between your legs, you'd take a whole different stance on this issue. For another thing, the modern day feminist movement tends to put men down. They devalue being a father, the hard work it takes just to be a man. They act like we're nothing and that we're pieces of garbage. They say that women should stop shaving their underarms and legs in protest. Protest to what exactly? Oppression? Nobody's oppressing you, you're equal. This is the United States of America. And for another thing, I don't shave my legs because I'm a man, but I do shave my underarms because it's just cleaner that way. And women talk about men objectifying them. Well, who the is objectifying you? Give me an example. Everyone is sexually objectified from time to time. Now, I will admit that men are not objectified as much as women. Men have 20 times more potent testosterone than women have estrogen. So don't blame men. And another thing, some men, such as my father, are great men and don't look at women at all other than their wives. So don't just sit there and say all men are pieces of crap and all men objectify women, because it's not true. There are some good eggs out there. Try as hard as you want. You're never going to fix this. The reason being is it all comes back to human nature. The Bible puts in plain detail that the cause of sin is human nature. Been objectified, as you call it, on a number of occasions. And every single time you feel uncomfortable and it's weird and you just want the person to quit looking at you because it's just it's gross. Even though I'm a man, I've had my fair share of creeps. So I can tell you firsthand that women are not the only ones being objectified. Doesn't matter what race or what gender you are, you're always going to be oppressed. Because there's always going to be that one person that likes to screw with you and likes to bother you. There's always going to be that one woman or that one man that stares at the lump in your pants or at your ass or at your friggin' legs. There's always going to be someone creepy like that. But in my experience, they'll go away if you don't pay attention to them, so just forget about it. This next comment was sent in by Victorian Puff, and it reads as follows. He never said that at all. Feminism has created more problems than solutions. Unfortunately, I cannot detail them in a reply. Maybe in a short novella, she could have possibly meant novel. Just do some Googling, you'll find quite a bit. Now this one is a rather lengthy comment posted by Jason, and it reads as follows. Very much this. Radical feminism has become a cult-like religion. Completely with blasphemy laws, heresies, apostasies, schisms, etc. What's been going on with the social justice warrior crowd since about 2013 is following many of the patterns of traditional moral panics, which are associated with religious kooks that keep going off the deep end. It really has gone from a political equality movement to a hardline cultist faith over the years. If you take a look at, e.g., the UK, only 7% of all people certified identify with feminism, but almost all people surveyed believe in equality of the sexes. So feminists say, well, everyone's really a feminist, they just don't know it. No, just don't insult the intelligence of almost all men and women. How about an analogy? Imagine if Christians, well, I'm a Christian. Imagine if Christians found out that only 7% of a nation's people identify as Christians, yet 80% agree that they have some spiritual component. Then the Christians say, well, they're really Christians, they just don't know it. This would be, on the face of it, a preposterous statement, but effectively how feminists rationalize the same thing. They claim to own equality, so therefore if you don't support them and all their other doctrines, you must hate equality. This is exactly the same as one religion claiming to be the one true religion that owns goodness, and if you don't support their belief, you're against goodness. I'd just like to add one thing, and I know he was using that Christian thing as an example, but I'd just like to say, if you haven't accepted in your heart Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, then you are not a Christian. I'm just saying. Doesn't matter if you're spiritual, you're just not a Christian. Continuing to the end of Jason's comment, people who do not believe in the patriarchy conspiracy theory aren't necessarily against equality, they're against insane bull ideologies. But that's what cultist ideologies breed, claiming 100% ownership of virtue, and anyone who questions any of the sacred doctrines must be an agent of evil, the devil or the patriarchy. I do agree with this man's example, however, I don't really like how he's putting down Christianity. I do understand what he's saying, but it's just not true. That's a topic for another time. I don't feel like getting into that. Let's go on to the next comment. This next comment came in from Matthew and reads as follows. I agree with you, Jason. It is about many things. Blaming others for your suffering, getting promotions based on guilt manipulation, blaming classes of people for their individual crimes, and more. But one thing third-wave feminism is not about is equality. It increasingly resembles a cult or religion in which female means good and male means bad. The irony is that these people claim to be non-binary. They are some of the most ideologically inflexible people you could ever meet. Everything bad women do is caused by the patriarchy, and everything good they do is because of women's supposedly moral and pure nature. Next comment came in from Eric Lauder and reads as follows. Feminism is not about equality. Feminism is for women's rights only, and also feminism wants to feminize men. Now, I'd venture to guess that what this man is referring to is feminists think it's wrong to gender toys, and they think, oh, boys should be able to play with Barbie dolls and girls should be able to play with monster trucks. But gendering of toys is a crucial element to a child's mental development. If a boy grows up playing with manly and masculine toys, he's going to be manly and masculine because that's what his brain is warped around. And really, that's a good thing because he'll be a good, strong man. And if you allow boys to play with Barbie dolls, then they'll be feminine. It's just not what our society needs. This next comment comes in from Caroline Little and reads as follows. Let me just say, the dictionary definition of feminism is the advocacy of women's rights on the grounds of political, social, and economic equality to men. That's it. What you're thinking of, putting women down and ahead of men instead of equal to them, is called misandrism. The fact that you believe men being more feminine builds up the assumption that you are, in fact, a misandrist, upholding the standards of a manly man taking care of his little housewife, that are still in action today the same way they were in the 1950s. If you think you know what feminism is so well, why don't you provide a more solid argument on what it is compared to what you are? On another note, feminists don't want to feminize men. We want to establish being a man who is more feminine is okay. That's not wrong to be who you are, just because of what you've been taught by society from a young age. Actually does not matter, believe it or not, what the textbook definition of a word or phrase or ideology is. Take the N-word, for example. The N-word originally meant dirty person. But over the years, it's taken on a new meaning. It's a racial slur against African Americans. Just because a dictionary defines a word as being something in particular does not mean that it lives up to its definition. In conclusion today, please find the nearest gentleman and castrate his genitals. See you next time, guys.